one of the most characteristic and profound after effects of the near-death experience, as most of you know, some from your own experience, is that you often lose entirely the fear of death.
I was going back down the dark corridor, and suddenly, boom, I'm back in the war. I can hear the guns firing and people hollering and the bombs blowing up and everything. And this fella, his name is Tommy, he and I didn't get along very well together. He came crawling out of the bushes, and he was telling me that there was a sniper in the bushes. And I could see that he'd been shot. There was blood on the front of him. After he died, I laid him down and I covered him up. And I started to get up off the ground. And the sniper that had shot Tommy came out of the bushes and opened up an automatic and shot me through the arm, chest, and through the neck. It was amazing because my experience, I already knew I wasn't going to die. Everything just kind of took place in slow motion. I was very calm and relaxed. I saw the bullets come out of the gun. I felt them go into my body. I felt them tear and rip, but it wasn't painful. It wasn't pleasant either, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It was kind of like, oh shit. I knew I wasn't going to die. Everything was okay. So I picked up my rifle and I fired back at this guy. He was desperately trying to reload. I'm sure that he was shocked, maybe to death, I'm not sure. Seeing a man that had already been severely wounded and then hitting him many times and having him get back up and fire back. So I was concentrating, trying to breathe, and I was also trying to patch myself up. I was remembering all my first aid that they taught us. Cigarette pack on the sucking chest wound, and unwrap the field bandage, and trying to put all this stuff up on, and walking, moving back, looking for help. I did find help at about 300 yards in the other direction. A fellow came running over to me as he saw me walk through the bushes, and as soon as he touched me, I just gave in to him. I let him take over from that point. And he called the medic and began to patch me up. And I was conscious the whole time. I remember they were talking. The medic got there, and I remember they were trying to move me, and the medic kept saying, watch out for that arm. How are you, Bill? Is everything going to be okay? I mean, you're all right, but I could hear also people saying, oh my God, and things like that. But I knew I wasn't going to die, so I wasn't worried.
Now, just think for a moment the amount of mischief that is done in the world by people who are gripped by this fear, even at an unconscious level. People who have a near-death experience, by and large, are freed from this fear. This is another tremendous gift that is conferred on such people. Or, to take another fairly obvious example, most near-death experiences say after their NDE that they have suffered a sharp reduction in their interest in material things for their own sake.
But after about 3 years, all this energy and everything that I got from this experience seemed to start to die away. I began to forget all of what I learned in this near-death experience, all this knowledge about life and living. And I didn't pursue a career in helping people. I pursued a career of helping myself. And I was looking for the big bucks, and I wanted to go places, and I wanted to make some money. And I did. But I was terribly unhappy. I couldn't seem to stick with anything. Nothing was going right. My life was always in a shambles. It was one crisis after another. I ended up extremely depressed to the point of being suicidal. And then I figured I better make a change. And I ended up going on this retreat. I'd never been a very religious person. Always a very spiritual person, but not very religious. This experience didn't change that, but it helped me to get back in touch with my spirit. And it began to drive me to make some very big changes in my life, get back on track, get into a career of helping people. And I'm now a clinical social worker. I suppose the big bucks are all right, but I can live without them now.
They don't have to be a big success in life to be somebody. They don't have to achieve. They don't have to have things, collect things, to think that they're a person of value. Many people are still, I don't know, choked by this kind of acquisitiveness in a certain sense, and don't have a sense of their own value without these accoutrements, without these things. Near-death experiences are free from that, by and large. And so on down the list, you can do this for many different examples on your own. I think the only other thing that I would add to this is that the efflorescence in the lives of many near-death experiencers following their NDE of psychic gifts, of healing gifts, and so many people claim this in the aftermath of their near-death experiences, are particularly good examples of the kinds of gifts that I'm speaking about in this particular context.
And Mark did some very miraculous things. Mark took out his own trach when Mark decided it was time. Mark closed it internally, and there was no way back in. And his doctor would say, "Don't worry, it's between God and Mark." And as Mark did these healing processes on himself, the staff would just stand there and want an answer, want a logical explanation. And Dr. Chittard would say, "Just don't worry, it's between Mark and God."
There's no way you'll ever breathe without a trach tube. We're going to put one in permanently for you. I didn't like that idea, and so I went into the doctor and I told him, "What happens if we take this tube out of my neck?" And he said, "Well, you probably die." So actually I didn't ask him, I had to write this all down because I couldn't talk. But I wrote him a little note and it said, "Goodbye, I'm going home to die." And I took the tube out, laid it on his desk, and I left.
I'm told by the physicians that my recovery has been very swift, far faster than they've expected, and far faster than most. So, and I think that that's partially because of what happened to me when I had the heart attack. It's partially because of the near-death experience.
And then there are other instances where people find they can heal others. Dr. Joyce Hawkes is a workshop presenter today, and she is an example of someone who is leading a very left-brain life as a scientist, who thought, if she thought at all about this subject, thought it was hooey, and after, being crushed in the skull by a mirror, found that she could heal others. And by the way, she's I'm going to advertise for Joyce whether she's here or not. She is the real McCoy. I mean, she, as a direct result of her near-death experience, it's nothing that's kind of come to her. I mean, it just was because of that she learned she could heal others, and that's what she's out doing. So it happens. Go figure. I don't know why.
I've been talking tonight about various aspects of the healing potentialities of the near-death experience, and I want to mention one other aspect that I haven't yet drawn to your attention. It's this: those of us who have not ourselves had a near-death experience can be healed even by listening to their words. And the only thing I have left to say really is, well, my friends, do you get it? Well, I mean, do I need to say anything more? I mean, what more can I say than this? A great poet of the 20th century, W.H. Auden, once said, "We who are about to die demand a miracle." Well, I mean, what are these NDEs and these stories that we've heard tonight? Not just the yearning that Auden has, but all of us have for the miracle of what may happen at and after death. So as I, as it were, take my leave from you, I think it is fitting and appropriate, of course, that one last time I let an NDEer have the last words. And so to do that, I want now to revert to the person, the first NDEer whose words I quoted earlier this evening, the fellow who had his near-death experience when he was about 5 years old. In reading his words, I really would like to join my voice with his and have you understand his words to reflect my own feelings after 14 years of researching the near-death experience. I might say just before reading this final quotation that the last two words in it he chooses to capitalize. He says, "I have no theory about the NDE. The fact that I have one myself gives me no advantage in trying to explain it scientifically or otherwise. And this is so for the same reason that I can't explain ordinary physical vision, only because I can see. The only advantage I have from my NDE is that I know the experience exists. I know that other people's NDEs are no more, no less invented, quote unquote, than my own. Whatever the explanation to the NDE will turn out to be, it will provide us with significant information about ourselves, our true nature. This knowledge will hopefully have an impact on how we treat each other, not only within the medical care system, but in society as a whole. And whatever the explanations will look like, they are sure to be exciting and revealing. But, of course, there are two sides to the NDE, the scientific one and the experiential one, the outside and the inside. For me, who has had the great fortune of having had an NDE, from the inside, no explanations are really necessary. They can neither add to my experience nor reduce it. It is as if you had a nice dream where you find a lot of gold and coins. Then you wake up and feel sorry that it is over. What a loss. But in the next moment, you discover that you still have the gold and coins that you found in the dream. Was it only a dream then? Actually, it doesn't matter what it was. The only thing that matters is that the gold and coins are good money, and that with it, you can buy real things.